what is happening currently, looking at the current state of play of politics. What are some of the preparations that we do have from different elective bodies that we do have in preparation for 2022? And also looking and teasing out our historical journey to this epic time that we're living, and how that journey for the other able person has been in this country. Are they frustrated in terms of accessibility? Are they frustrated in terms of inclusion, even in the political arena as well? And this is where I want to come to you, Danita, and ask you, first of all, in terms of the accessibility, in terms of inclusion, could you talk about the existence of legal framework to promote participation, especially within the political parties? And this is where we had a conversation with you and other civil organization as well, that it seems within the political parties, when it comes to nominations of candidates, you feel that you are highly marginalized, and there is need to actually amend that particular act, the political parties act, so that your voices can be more, outstanding when it comes to nomination. I know ODM maybe might be diametrically different. Of course, if you're in the party, you'll speak well of the party. But I just want you to bear out your heart and speak candidly.
I'll not speak about ODM per se, but I want to just say that generally representation of persons with disabilities, especially on political, the political, spaces is one thing in this country. I mean, you very well know that, representation, especially in county assemblies, and that's why I told you, county assemblies as we speak now, we have about 17 county assemblies, beginning with Bungoma, Busia, Kisii, Kwale, even West Pokot, Turkana, county assemblies that have no representation of persons with disabilities as MCAs. Yet, as per the Constitution, if you know very well, the Constitution Article 177, 1C, actually provides for 2 representatives into the county assemblies as MCAs with disabilities to articulate disability matters, a man and a woman. But you can imagine that, these are counties that do not have representation of that nature. So meaning that issues persons with disability in their counties is not really captured. So that is a problem. So representation, even within political parties, again, we have seen again that many of our political parties do not even have, voices of persons with disabilities within the political parties. And that is what we have been engaging, even, looking at the Political Parties Act, looking at the Elections Act, looking at, other players in the field, including the Office of the Registrar.
Oh, sorry, Danita, I think your mic is a bit acting up, so I'll get that sorted out. So don't be frustrated. That will just circle back with you. Don't lose your track of thought. We'll continue pace with that. Let me just come to you, Sam, as well. And Sam, you may remember, and off camera, I was just highlighting to you that we had the Global Disability Summit. Yes. And I remember also that particular time I had the privilege and the good fortune of hosting by then the UK High Commissioner, Nick Haley, who was also steamrolling this particular global summit, the Kenya entourage, to the UK as well. Some of the highlights that were made there, maybe you're privy to them. How has been the traction and the follow-up for that particular global summit that we had?
Yes, very true. Dibal, in 2018, Kenya co-hosted the Global Disability Summit alongside the UK government and the International Disability Alliance. And from the summit, the outcome was that there were commitments that governments were given to undertake. And specifically for Kenya, there were commitments to end discrimination and stigmatization among persons with disabilities. And we've seen this kicked off with some policies being aligned. You realize that in 2018-2019, there was shift from the special needs. There is a special needs education policy for learners with disabilities, meaning that we are now advocating for inclusive education rather than integration. So inclusive education is the kids with disabilities will learn alongside able-bodied kids from the time when education begins to the time when they leave school. Then there was also the other commitments in regards to raising of awareness and creation of awareness in terms of disability issues. And so here you will find that we have been trying to ensure that with the creation of awareness is that the ministry that is responsible for persons with disabilities gives guidelines in terms of a booklet that will try to ensure that people are aware about the disability needs and about what persons with disabilities require to effectively access services and to access what previously they were not accessing. This booklet was launched, and we want to fill the dissemination of that information so that it can be relevant to persons with disabilities. Then there was also the issue of harnessing of technology, where we committed to ensure that we will use technology to empower persons with disability. This is because, like for blind persons, when you give them technology or when you empower them with technology, everything all in their lives revolves around technology. And that's why as Kenya Society for the Blind, we come in handy, and the best training center, when someone loses their sight, they can come back and use their computers, use the smartphone that you are using, the BAL today. They can use it effectively to communicate, to write, to get information, because the biggest challenge has been access to information. We can also take this time to encourage that in creation of awareness, we need all materials, including the electoral materials, to be made available in Braille, so that those who are visually impaired also can access the information and use it to empower themselves, equip themselves with the facts that are needed, especially when it comes to politics. You must equip yourself with facts of law and facts of what it is that you are able to do. So even for political parties, they will be doing manifestos and all these sort of things. We committed to ensure that these documents are made accessible and available in alternative formats, as Article 54 of our Constitution speaks to. We also have to encourage all players in the government, the policy makers, that we need now to ensure, as the President directed the other day when he came to the Disability Day, he said that he gives a directive that the Disability Bill of 2015 should now be passed before this Parliament ends. And I will ask Denita Gatti to follow on that, because we are still guided by the 2003 Disability Act, which by then, even the UNCRPD had not come into force. So we need this disability bill so that it can accommodate the new dynamics that have come at play, and especially in tackling stigma and discrimination. It can be entrenched into a law, and so that it can be easy to implement. So I would really appreciate if this directive by the President can be followed up, so that we have a disability bill of 2021 to assist us, even in guidance as we draw near to the general election, so that many more people can be empowered and can also get an opportunity to get elected and get voted for, and also participate in inclusive elections.
Right. Thank you very much. And maybe I can come to you, Professor Julia Jambo. As Denita, you just hang on to that particular thought, and I think also Sam has raised concerns about that particular bill, which I was to ask you about, who is steamrolling and pushing the envelope. Now you are also all the wise as far as that bill is concerned. The President also has his eye on it, so you will tell us more about it. But let me come to you, Julia. Talking even about bills, you can hack back into history and tell us the journeys, because we have so many bills, so many acts along the way, but bills that they are never steamrolled. They lie, in Parliament. We have different, houses coming to their tenure, going back after, their tenure. We have new, leaders coming on board as well, but they never steamroll these particular bills that we're talking about, and not one of which we're talking about is the 2015 one. Give us an institutional memory on the bills and the acts that have come to the fore that were very pivotal in changing the lives of the other abled.
Yeah, the matter of seeing the bills go through the Parliament really is a matter of a concern for the community, and we expect that as we move on, that the Parliament will see that it's important now that they have a number of people with disability in Parliament and who are performing excellently. We have the MP for Westlands, Wanyonyi, and we have many others in Parliament. And these are movers of these bills now. Previously, it was probably not that important because this disability was not with the Parliament and it was not seen and felt. So now it is there, and it has a voice, and I can see it moving fast. I just want to refer to the act that established the National Council for People with Disability. That was a big move, and it has helped a lot in bringing about awareness. And through that bill, even the people with disability themselves have moved a long way. They have moved out, they have identity, an identification code that enables them to move. The issues in inclusivity is now being tackled at all levels. And I just want to refer to this in terms of even construction industry, that now all the new buildings that are coming up must be friendly to people with disability, to the visual impaired, to those who use wheelchairs, and at all levels. And this we see coming up and is picked up very well. And I think this is going to make it easy for people with disability to enter any building to access services. For us, as the National Fund for Disabled of Kenya, we are celebrating 40 years, and I'd like to bring to the attention of the public that tomorrow we'll be actually celebrating 40 years, and the President is coming to unveil our 40-year book, which we have written, and in it we are showing various stages of development. It's not yet out for today until it's unveiled tomorrow. I'm sorry, I couldn't bring it in.
We don't want to jump the gun.
But I'd like the public to know that this book is going to be available starting tomorrow, and have access to it, to see the stages of development and improvement and activities that have been actually undertaken by people with disability with a lot of success.
Thank you.
And it gives a beautiful history of achievement that we are making in the area of disability.
Thank you. Let me go back to Crystal, because it shall just be a quick fire because of interest of time, that also we are pinched for time as well. Crystal, to you, I want just to ask you, first of all, we see also artists within your fraternity have been really united, and I know you're not alone. You have so many of them in terms of pushing your agenda. We have, artist associations that sometimes they don't even have policies that really cater to your needs. But you, from your own association, I know you have one, or if you can highlight and tell us which association is this, and what are some of, let's say, policies that you've come up with, that you're trying to steamroll, even to the Music Copyright Society, to the association of, the artists and the producers as well. What are some of these challenges that you are undertaking? What are some of these highlights of the policies you're coming up with, briefly?
So I am a part of different societies, the ones that we all know, MCSK, PRISC, CAMP, because I'm a producer, I'm a performer, and I'm also a songwriter. And so the challenges that we're facing, like I said, is structures. It's very much structural, because I cannot earn a living. I always tell people that if you look at me and you think that because I'm a musician, I'm rich and I've got some island somewhere that I've got a building on it. No, it's not the case, because actually being an artist in Kenya is very difficult. Unless you have investment behind you, unless you have backing, sponsorship, someone walking you through the industry intentionally, then it's very hard to actually make money, because there are no structures in place. You sign up to these societies, and they give you the things that they do, their mandates, so on and so forth, but at the end of the year you still get your 2,000 shillings as royalties, even though you may have released 5 songs, each with videos and all the promotion that you've done around it. And then also we are not protected in terms of contracts. We're not educated in that way. So empowering artists means educating them, making them understand that contracts are very important, agreements are very important. You need to understand how the industry works.
Whose remit is it, Crystal, to educate?
MCSK, I would say. MCSK, all of them, to be honest, because they all say that they're taking care of their members. MCSK, PRISC, CAMP. I will say that for sure. We also need to start one for songwriters specifically, because songwriters have their own challenges and their own different types of needs that they have, as well as songwriters and publishers specifically. So those are the issues, and I also think that artists who are very much in the human rights sector. We call them artivists. I'm an artivist. I would call myself that. I like to mix activism with my art, so that there's a message and there is movement and impact in my community and what it is that I'm trying to push in my agenda. And so I think that more artists need to consider that lane as well, because then you can now move into the CSO world. You can move into civil society organization events, UN events. You can write for campaigns. You can write for movies, which are or documentaries that are being sponsored by all these, like World Bank, so on and so forth. So I think that artists need to be more educated in that respect, so that we're not just, like I said, a one-trick pony.
Fantastic. Danita, back to you. I think your microphone is working right now. And given that also I'm pinched for time, I just wanted to highlight briefly, I think also Julia touched on it, and Sam, in terms of the election management bodies and designing the voter education accessibility material, I don't know how that is panning out. You can actually couple that also with the bill that is being steamrolled. I don't know who is steamrolling it, if you're doing it. Maybe you can highlight it, and of course also you can give your closing remarks as well. Briefly.
Yeah, thank you again, and I want to just say that obviously the disability bill, allow me first of all thank the President, because I think you have already also seen the President has very good intentions. He's always with persons with disabilities. Really, this is a very big plus for us as a country. And I think you also know that as I speak here, I'm also the President of the Commonwealth Parliamentarians with Disabilities Network, and these are some of the things that we push across parliaments. But for purposes of this country, I acknowledge that the disability bill of 2015, which has actually been discussed under the Committee of Labour, which fall in Parliament, is actually a bill that is basically going to look at the issues of persons with disabilities. And when the President is on top of this bill, definitely after it comes from the Committee of Labour, and because they have actually looked at it, the President is actually expected to actually assent this bill into law, so that it really basically looks at issues of persons with disabilities across. But again, for me, in Parliament, even where I sit, you'll also realize that Kenya is actually aligning itself to the UN Convention on the Rights of Persons with Disabilities. There are many issues that we have discussed and that need to be really captured into looking at issues of accessibility, as you have seen, and also looking at the issues of inclusivity in terms of ensuring that the political process actually aligns. And as a country, we tend to really align ourselves with the UN Convention on the Rights of Persons with Disabilities, and that is what we are working along and across. So as a legislator, for me in Parliament, I think what Honorable Julia has said, we have really tried. We are trying in Parliament to basically ensure that persons with disabilities, make it across, all sectors, so that it's not only social and, economic, even political, because hardly do persons with disabilities, for example, become members of Parliament. You have seen how it is and how difficult it is to become a member of Parliament or to become an MCA when you have a disability. So these are the things that we are trying to see. How do we, as members of Parliament, because for the first time, and under the 2010 Constitution, we have many of us in Parliament. We sit, the two of us in the National Assembly, then we have two in the Senate, and several others. So what we do is basically to look at the various laws that already exist. How then do we ensure that they capture the aspirations of our people, so that we are not just talking. We are not just talking.
Thank you very much.
We want to normalize how disability is approached in this country.
Honorable Danita, I think we should have had more time on this as well. I think this is a huge subject to broach, but we are pinched for time nonetheless. I want just to end it here and thank you warmly to all of you that have made it through this discussion. We have Honorable Danita Gatti, who is a Member of Parliament, also the President of Commonwealth Parliamentarians with Disabilities Network. I want to thank you warmly. Also, we've had with us Professor Julia Ojambo, who has been advocating for people living with disabilities rights for 40 years. Also, he is a member of the National Funds for People Living with Disabilities as well. There will be a book that is being launched tomorrow by the President as well. He's an invited guest. We'll be looking forward to that as well. Sam Oweru, the Executive Director of Kenya Society for the Blind.